I'm sorry for fidgeting around. Yeah. Yeah. So, good. I almost said good evening, but yeah, good morning. I'm sorry for fidgeting around. I was trying to find a better place where I can have a better light. So, first of all, I want to apologize. These days, it has become very difficult for me to be coming live at 20 hours for a number of reasons, really. I'm having my own challenges. And yeah, sometimes it's a bit difficult to clear your mind. You can only talk, and make sense when psychologically you are okay. But when there are issues that are not well, handled, it becomes difficult. Yeah, it becomes a little bit difficult. But I hope somehow God will help. So, Mama Nanum, first of all, I want to start now by telling you that, you see, you people, I said this from the word go. From the word go, I told you that in Edgar Lungu, the death of Edgar Lungu has highly been politicized. And people are trying to get political capital out of it. People are trying to get political capital out of it. Sorry, I have to do one thing. I have to switch on the aircon. It's hot in here. I said it just when we started. I said this just when Edgar Lungu died. I told you that Abantu, they want to get political capital out of the death of Edgar Lungu. And some of you have been accusing me, no, you are being uncouth, you are being insensitive, you cannot talk about the widow like that, and so on and so forth. But surely, Nangu, even if you people, you are so loyal to whoever you are loyal to, even if you are so loyal, even if you are so naive, honestly, how can you today not see the political machinations attached to President Edgar Lungu's death? How can you not see it? Can't you see how everything has played out? Can't you see how everything has played out? From the time that Edgar Lungu died. But actually, let me tell you this. I told you before, I told you that when Edgar Lungu died, people didn't want to announce that Edgar Lungu is dead. Instead, they wanted to embalm the body and keep it for 2 years, meaning until after the elections. They wanted to continue using Edgar Lungu to say, Edgar Lungu has said this, Edgar Lungu has said this, and yet Edgar Lungu is gone. I told you, and these things, it's not that I talk about them from a political sense. These are facts. These are facts. And if you go back even before Edgar Lungu died, Edgar Lungu, and God is seeing me here, that I'm not lying. Edgar Lungu was reluctant to come back into politics. Edgar Lungu was reluctant. I went a number of times to ask Edgar Lungu to come back into politics. He refused. He was refusing. He was refusing. Edgar Lungu was refusing to come back into politics. I was interacting with Edgar Lungu one-on-one. He was refusing. And that is how I asked him to say, so who are you supporting? Because we need an opposition. We need a strong opposition. Because at that time, I saw that UPND was growing wings. I saw that UPND was becoming big-headed. And we needed an opposition. That is what I was looking for. That is why I went to Edgar Lungu. I went to Edgar Lungu because I needed an opposition, a strong opposition. I looked around. There was no strong person that could challenge Hakainde Hichilema. I have been saying this from time immemorial. I've been saying that between Edgar Lungu, between Hakainde Hichilema, without Edgar Lungu, there is no one in between there. There is no one. If you remove when Edgar Lungu was not there, there was no one in between here who could really challenge Hakainde Hichilema. And I was looking for that person that would come in to at least offer, a substantive opposition to Hakainde Hichilema. There was no one. And that is why I went to Edgar Lungu. Because only Edgar Lungu had at least some political cloth, some political strength to fight Hakainde Hichilema. Without Edgar Lungu, nothing. And I went to Edgar Lungu. Edgar Lungu was refusing first. He was refusing. And I asked him then, so who should we pick? Who should I go with? Edgar Lungu himself told me, look around and see who you find. I looked around and finally I looked at Brian Mundubile. Brian Mundubile is clean. Brian Mundubile has got a quality leadership. Brian Mundubile is reliable. Brian Mundubile has got a heart. And these issues, I lived them. I didn't know Brian Mundubile. Brian Mundubile is not somebody that I've known for a long time. I came to know Brian Mundubile during the time of, the Bill 10, when there was this constitutional review. That is when I knew Brian Mundubile. And I looked at him to say, this guy looks okay. And eventually we became close. So I went to Edgar Lungu and I asked him to say, what about Brian Mundubile? And he said, it's okay. That man is okay. And that's how I started. Brian Mundubile. And Edgar Lungu himself had a meeting with Brian Mundubile. And he told him, Jacob, take up the responsibility. I'm not coming back. Very sure. But then, all of a sudden, after Lungu Waisa South Korea, some of you have been saying, no, Lungu was not going out. Lungu was not going out. Lungu went to South Korea. Actually, that time, first he went to South Africa. He came back. After South Africa, he even told me to say, after my trip to South Africa, I'm even more convinced that I should not come back into politics. After he went to South Africa, he came back. I don't know what the doctors told him, but when he came back, he said, I am very sure that now I shouldn't get back into politics. From nowhere, Edgar Lungu went to South Korea. When he went to South Korea, when he came back, there was a change of heart. That is when now he started coming to say, no, Shan, he didn't say clearly that he wants to come back. But clearly I could see that he wanted to come back. But whenever he was talking about coming back, but Esther Lungu was always next to Edgar Lungu. But Esther Lungu was always next to Edgar Lungu. And Esther Lungu's contribution was always the same. Muliva mwenso, you are scared. You are a scared man. You are a scared man. And I could tell that Edgar Lungu did not change his mind basically on himself. It was influenced by Esther. It was influenced by Esther. One of the meetings which we used to have there, Kunganda Kwaibex, even Winter Kabimba can tell you. Ask wa Winter Kabimba Nganderepa, Tualekara Patebo, Tualikere Patebo, one time. Esther was there, Esther was protagonist, played a role in Edgar Lungu coming back. And what I heard is that, somehow, when they went to South Korea, he was or whatever it is. But Esther was really at the center of Lungu coming back. And Esther was part of the issue of pushing away Mundubire. That is how Mundubire was pushed away so that Edgar Lungu come back. She was part and parcel of all this nonsense of Edgar Lungu coming back. I'm telling you this because I want you to understand the background and what is currently happening. It has got a background. Now, Edgar Lungu didn't really want to come back into politics. These people around, they are the ones who were pushing him. And some of the people that were pushing him, given Lubinda, Nakachinda, Nabanan, they were pushing him. They were candidates who were around Edgar Lungu. And most of these candidates, they had lost their footing in the political arena. Listen to me very well. Listen at this point. Most of these people that surrounded Edgar Lungu, who were pushing him, they had lost a footing on the political stage. They had lost a footing on the political stage. How? For example, those who lost Ama elections, they were those who lost Ama elections in 2021. These are the people who were around Edgar Lungu. Given Lubinda did not contest, and he was nowhere. He was nowhere. The only job that Given Lubinda had was acting vice president, not acting because he was appointed. So that was the job that he had. Without Given Lubinda being acting president or acting president, because at one point he was even given the powers to act. If you remember, there was a letter that was written to say he's acting president. So the only job that Given Lubinda had was to act as PF president. And this his job was dependent on Edgar Lungu. Without Edgar Lungu, Given Lubinda's appointment was in question. And then we had these other guys, Nakachinda. What job did Nakachinda have? Nakachinda didn't contest. If not being SG, then what? But so his political life was dependent on Edgar Lungu, who appointed him as Secretary General. Given Lubinda, his survival in politics was dependent on Edgar Lungu. Without Edgar Lungu, then that's it. He doesn't have a job. Then you can talk of others in there were shamu because but you can look around the people that used to be around Edgar Lungu. It is those that lost elections and those who had no job politically. And their survival in politics was dependent on Edgar Lungu. And this is why they were pushing Edgar Lungu to continue in politics. Even when Edgar Lungu was now sick, some of us, me personally, I said Vamdala is not okay. We knew of the sickness of Lungu, and I said it to many people. I even said it here on live. I said, those of you who want to be presidents, just campaign. Edgar Lungu doesn't have the courage to appoint another person. But why Edgar Lungu didn't have the courage? It's because these people that surrounded him, They couldn't allow him. Because if at all Edgar Lungu had withdrawn, what would have happened? Or if we would have needed a convention. Okay? If Edgar Lungu had withdrawn, had resigned, what was needed was a convention. And a convention, these political candidates who were around Edgar Lungu, they knew that they didn't stand a chance. They knew that they didn't stand a chance. They knew that they would lose. They knew that presidents might go to somebody else. And that person who will get the presidency would be the one to appoint who should be Secretary General, would be the one to appoint who should be Vice President. So already you can see the fear that given Lubinda had, you can see the fear that Nakachinda had, you can see the fear that these people around had. They were scared for their political life. Without Lungu, they were nothing. And they kept Lungu there. They insisted. Yes, you would say, but you were also pushing a level lapo. Yes, I was pushing a level lapo. But you know, afterwards you realize that there are these challenges. And one of the challenges that Edgar Lungu had, number one, Mwenso, which Esther was attacking him for. Number two, his financial position was not very clear to me. Some of you used to say, no, I never saw Lungu's money. Then the third point, which was very important, by Lungu Baliwele. And I started saying, let somebody take over, let somebody take over, let somebody take over. But once they were scared. Those who had potential to become presidents, they were scared. Including Munduvire, we know it, because Munduvire ngale fire, ngali vivula, even before Lungu talafwa. But they were scared, and according to them, they say loyalty. Yes, you can say loyalty. Yeah, Brand Munduvire, I can put it to say it was loyalty. But then again, you know, I didn't understand this loyalty. For me, I was a little bit uncomfortable. And I feel that I was right, actually. I was right. So, they wanted Edgar Lungu to stay in power. Without Edgar Lungu, their political life was gone. Their political life was gone. And they kept him. But Edgar Lungu afwa. Edgar Lungu dies. And when he died now, they had that problem. These people, they were living, they were like ticks sticking on Edgar Lungu. Their political life was dependent on Edgar Lungu. That was their political life support. Their political life support was Edgar Lungu. So they held on to him. But Edgar Lungu dies. Now, after he dies, I mean, this guy is the one that used to keep us. How are we going to go on? Those issues number. No, no, whatever. All this nonsense that they tell you, it is nothing but them trying to survive. Them trying to survive. Including Esther, I speak on a firm ground. Esther has been part of the political life of Lungu. She has been very much political. She has been in the background, but pushing Lungu. Even when he was alive, Esther no komudi. Usheva Lungu tabale mnyewo kobati. Iwe ulanda kwa tinyaba. Yabadi onso bushiku. Kulanda pali wa mwali kwa tomwenso. Tamawa kwa tinisata. But I'm different from Sata. Lungu used to say that. I'm different from Sata. I'm different from you. Pointing me. I'm different from you. I can't be like you. I'm on my own. So allow me. I was pushing him to say, come out, come out, come out. You know? So that man, I can't say may he so rest in peace. That man was used even when he was alive. And even now, this issue that we have, where Lungu is not buried, It is nothing but the political survival of some of these individuals. Political survival. Political survival. Without Lungu, they are nothing. And that's why they have been holding on to that. Makebi Zulu has known the trick of holding on to some of these people who have got power. Makebi Zulu, remember, Makebi Zulu was stuck with Arabi. He stuck with Arabi. He showed loyalty to Arabi. Okay, he showed loyalty to Arabi when Arabi lost power. When Arabi lost power, remember there were cases against Arabi. Makebi Zulu was defending Arabi. He was defending Arabi. And through that, that is how he got connected to Edgar Lungu. Because after Arabi lost power to Sata, Sata died. And when Sata died, Edgar Lungu needed somebody to help him. And the person that helped, especially financially, it was Arabi. Arabi helped Edgar Lungu to become president financially, and he also gave him Eastern Province. Arabi's popularity in Eastern Province was very solid. And the Eastern Province was given to Edgar Lungu by Arabi. In that negotiation of rewarding Arabi for giving Edgar Lungu resources and the Eastern Province, that is how you saw people like Makebi Zulu becoming MP and minister. That is how you saw people like Boma Nusambo coming in as MP and minister. They came from Arabi. There are other people that came with that were brought in by Arabi, given to Edgar Lungu. Now, this Makebi Zulu, after Arabi Afwa, he became very close now to Edgar Lungu. Edgar Lungu and Bakabwalala. Arabi is specialized in defending Bakabwalala. Makebi Zulu is specialized in defending people that are alleged to have embezzled our resources. One of the cases, but the case that Makebi Zulu was defending Arabi, it was the case Ya Oil. If you remember, some of you who may remember, it was the case Ya Oil ya Nigeria, where Arabi went and sourced oil from Nigeria, okay, that Nigeria supplies us with oil. But later on it was discovered that that oil which Nigeria was supposed to bring to Zambia could not be used in Zambia. And so, but the deal was already made. And so that oil had to be sold somewhere else, as if it is being sold to the Zambian government. But that did not come to Zambia. That oil was sold somewhere else. And anyway, that is the case. I don't want to dwell so much on that. But that was the case. That was the case which brought Makebi Zulu to defend Arabi. Now, and then MPF, you have seen. Bonseba kabwalala ba MPF. Lawyer wabo ni nani? Ni Makebi Zulu. Lawyer wabo ni Makebi Zulu. The lawyer for most of these people that have stolen money in Zambia, including Malanji, it is Makebi Zulu. And so Makebi Zulu has played his cards very well. When Lungu died, Makebi Zulu was in South Africa. Makebi Zulu knows well the journey to the death of Edgar Lungu. He knows very well. Makebi Zulu, they were together with Vamayowa Esther Lungu. They were together. And whatever has happened, they must have been planning together. They have been planning together. They planned everything together. Whatever has happened, there is no way you can remove Esther Lungu out of this No, but Edgar Lungu has been part of this. And later on, I've come to learn that Edgar Lungu had deposited money in a number of people. A number of people, whereby he has given them money, they start businesses, they operate businesses, and the owner, it's Edgar Lungu. It's Edgar Lungu. And who is the lawyer helping Edgar Lungu to, strike these contracts with these different people? It is Makebi Zulu. So, now that Lungu is dead, who knows exactly who holds money for Edgar Lungu? It is Makebi Zulu and Esther. And this is where now this whole conundrum comes in. This conundrum comes in because now there are interests to protect. There is money to protect and there is power to be gotten. Power to be gotten from Hakainde Hichilema. But they want to remove Hakainde Hichilema. And so Makebi Zulu has really been staging himself to take over power and to make sure that he continues with whatever embezzlement that was done during the time of Edgar Lungu. So Makebi Zulu at the moment is powerful in terms of what? Powerful, number one, in terms of resources. Because he's the one who knows. He's the one who, I suspect, this one I can't say for a fact, but I suspect as his lawyer, is the one that must have been drafting some of these documents with people that were given money in different countries to run businesses for Edgar Lungu. Makebi Zulu must know about this. He must know about this. But Esther, of course, as the wife, she must know about this. Now, somebody is saying, but too much confusion. Now, I'm coming. Now, where does Given comes in? Given Lubinda's survival is dependent on Edgar Lungu. Given Lubinda's political survival is dependent on Edgar Lungu. Is dependent on Edgar Lungu. But you say, but he's dead. Yes, he's dead. But there is a guy that is at the center. There is a guy that is carrying the resources that Edgar Lungu and the connections that Edgar Lungu had. That is Makebi Zulu. And he's being supported by the wife. And this is why they staged up all that nonsense that has been going on in South Africa. No, that was shike, no, whatever. No, these are all machinations to make sure that they keep the power, they retain the power, and they keep the money. Makebi Zulu is not coming for you Zambians. Makebi Zulu is not coming for you Zambians. Makebi Zulu is not coming to be president for you. No, Makebi Zulu is coming in to make sure that all the monies and the connections that Edgar Lungu had are preserved. The day Makebi Zulu would become president, if he become president, if at all he would become president, it will mean all those Vakabwalalas, they will be restored. All those Vakabwalalas, they will be restored. And the power, but Esther, she is interested in that power. She was the first lady, and she feel insulted to be going through courts and the processes and everything that she has been going through. So these people, they are there. It is like a group. And Given Lubinda is sitting there like a small boy with, sitting, next to the king. He has to benefit something. He has to survive. He has to survive. So, Given on himself, on his own, he doesn't have a political strength. He doesn't have. Given doesn't have a political strength. He doesn't. He is a person, is a veteran politician. He has been around, but he doesn't have capacity. Given Lubinda doesn't have capacity to spin things for himself. He doesn't. So, Given Lubinda, yes, he's a presidential candidate, but I can assure you, Given knows that he cannot beat another person. He cannot beat Mundubile. He knows, Given knows deep down his heart, he knows he cannot beat Mundubile. And Unfortunately, for most of these guys, Mundubile is well sold. Mundubile is clean. He's not like the Kabwalalas. He's not among the thieves. He's not among the thieves. Mundubile doesn't have a case that Makebi Zulu is defending. No, he doesn't. He doesn't have. He's not part of the Kabwalalas. So Mundubile is like an outcast. He's like an outcast. So what is going on at the moment? It is they are trying to fight to eliminate Mundubile. They are trying to eliminate Mundubile. All this nonsense. It is those that were parasites, that were parasitical to Edgar Lungu. And Edgar Lungu is dead. And they are still holding on Kuchitumbi. They are sucking blood Muchitumbi. They can't let go. They can't bury. They can't bury. So once they wakabwala alaba, and then Waisamona Mundubile Kukusaiduku, he is seemingly doing much better than all of them. If you put Mundubile and given Lubinda, Mundubile is far much better. Even yourselves you have seen. You saw Mundubile with his crowd at the secretariat. You saw Brian Mundu, you saw Given Lubinda with his crowd at the secretariat. You have seen how ingenious Brian has been reaching out to other leaders. Given Lubinda had Chanda, Peter Chanda. They are the ones who had held the Tonse purpose vehicle. Eh? They were the ones, but they failed to manage Peter Chanda. And Peter Chanda has left them. Right now, they don't even have a purpose vehicle. But Mundubile, if you see, Mundubile is the one that is sitting with other opposition leaders. He's sitting with KBF. He's sitting with Fred Mende. He's sitting. Given Lubinda is not. Given Lubinda is not. Given doesn't have the capacity. Given knows he cannot win an election. So instead of letting go to say Brian should become, he wants to save himself. How does he want to save himself? He's aligning himself with the Lungus, with the Kabwalalas, because they are the ones who have got capacity. And this is a group that has been there, that has been sucking political life out of Edgar Lungu. They have been sucking political life out of Edgar Lungu. And they have to continue. They have to survive. So they are ganging up together. They are ganging up together. They are coming together. These changes, the droppings that you saw where Given is dropping this one and what. These are people that they have seen that they are on Brian Mundubile's side. They are on Brian Mundubile. They want to make sure they have ganged up against Mundubile. This is what it is. They have ganged up against Mundubile. They want to kick out Mundubile. So that, but yeah, I'm a political suckers. Bakwa Edgar Lungu, those who have been sucking blood out of Edgar Lungu, can emerge victorious. And at this point in time, Makebi Zulu, because Makebi Zulu is connected to Esther Lungu. Makebi Zulu, if you ask me, where is Makebi Zulu getting the strength? Where is Makebi Zulu getting the authority? Where? Be real, think. Where is Makebi Zulu getting authority? Where? Edgar Lungu is gone. Makebi Zulu is getting authority from Esther. From Esther. And everybody is converging around Esther. And this Makebi Zulu is anointed by Esther. Don't say no, niba mukamfuirwa. Tapuli mukamfuirwa. Abantu awa niba bachabe. Abantu awa bachabe. They are planning. So don't be blindfolded. Don't be hoodwinked in some sympathy of of bereavement. No, these people are planning. These people have been planning, and all these things that you are seeing, what Given has done, it is to make sure that they fix Mundubile. They want to fix Mundubile. I've been avoiding talking so much about Mundubile because I don't want to be seen like, I'm still supporting Mundubile. I'm supporting Hakainde Hichilema now. I'm supporting Hakainde Hichilema now. So I've been avoiding talking so much about Mundubile and the vaccinations going on against Mundubile. I've been avoiding because I don't want people to mistake me that I'm still supporting Brian Mundubile. For 2026, I'm supporting Hakainde Hichilema. No doubt. I'm supporting Hakainde Hichilema. And let me tell you, I'm a politics. It is about, what serves your interest. No, it's about what serves your interest. Hakainde Hichilema, number one, yes, from the national point of view, I want continuity. I want Hakainde Hichilema to continue. I want continuity. I don't want changes in leadership. It costs the country. We cannot afford to be changing governments every 5 years. Every 5 years, the country will not develop. Look at I'm sorry I can mention this country. Look at Italy. Italy has been changing prime ministers, prime minister. Italy is in Europe, and yet Italy is struggling economically. Why? Because of changing leaders. Countries that have developed, I'm telling you, they have stability at the leadership level. When you don't have stability at the leadership level, it becomes difficult for a country to develop because whoever comes in, he comes in with his own views, with his own ideas. And they tend to undo what the other person, what the previous leader, the predecessor did. They undo. And they tend to fire this one, hire. It is cumbersome. It is cumbersome. And I'm telling you, my brothers and sisters, we don't need to change government in 2026. That is number one. Number two. On a personal level, me, I want to come back home. And I am, after elections, I want to be home. Fishing. After elections, I want to be home. I want to come back home. And Hakainde Hichilema, as much as you say, Hakainde Hichilema terela, that is not the perception I have of Hakainde Hichilema today. That is not the perception of Hakainde Hichilema I have today. Look at Amos Chanda. Look at Frankie Bwade. Because some of you like to say, but you used to say this. What things did Frankie Bwade say about Hakainde Hichilema? What about Amos? What about Sunday Chanda? There are a number of people. Hakainde Hichilema has matured in politics. So Hakainde Hichilema, I'm seeing him as a person that can unify the country. Yes, there is this tag. No, Hakainde Hichilema is a dictator. Hakainde Hichilema is tribal. No, Hakainde Hichilema has matured. Hakainde Hichilema can help to unify Zambia. And I want to be part of that unity. And that is why I'm supporting Hakainde Hichilema. Yes, I'm telling you, I want to come back home. And I want to be part of the unity government that is coming next year. Next year, there will be a unity government, and I want to be part of that unity government. So, if you have been doubting, whatever, I want to tell you, what is my interest? My interest is that I want to come back next year in the unity government of Hakainde Hichilema. These others, I don't see them to have the capacity. Even Brian Mundubile, he doesn't have the capacity. He doesn't. I still maintain that after HH, Apapakacha, Patapali, Opolungu Afida, since Lungu died, there is no one in between. Hakainde Hichilema will be having 5 million votes. The next person that will have votes will have 200,000 votes. 200,000 votes. And I don't want to lose. Why should I? I'm sorry to Brian Mundubile. I'm sorry. Yes, he's my friend. Yes, I believe in him. But he can't win an election. He can't. So, Namieva, I'm a reasons. And since I've told you the reason now, I'm telling you now that Brian Mundubile, they want him out. So, Why I was giving you my reasons or my interest, I want you not to think that I'm supporting Brian Mundubile. I've given you my reasons why I'm supporting Brian Hakainde Hichilema. And I'm not supporting Brian because Brian, I know he will not win an election next year. He cannot win an election against Hakainde Hichilema. If Brian Mundubile will be on the ballot and he gets 200,000 votes, ni shabomba. Ababambia bashala, ngabakwata 50 votes ni shwabomba. Ba Fred Membe ngabakwata 20 votes ni shwabomba. Uyuna nkano yuadshani sangwa, ngabakwata 5 votes ni shabomba. Ale ngima 0. So I am a political strategist. I know where I'm going. I know where I'm landing. But Brian Mundubile is being ostracized. He's being ostracized. He's being kicked out by Wakawalala, those political parasites who were surviving on Edgar Lungu. The Chitumbi family are the ones who are coming up with all these machinations. Don't think that what Given Lubinda has done is for himself. No. Given Lubinda knows he has already lost this election. Given Lubinda knows that he will not manage to beat Brian Mundubile. So the only thing that they can do is to come together and defeat Brian Mundubile. The opposition that they have within PF is Brian Mundubile. They are even coming up with, look at the things that they are coming up. They are coming up to say, no, Brian Mundubile is working with UPND. Brian Mundubile is working with UPND. But really, I know Brian. I know Brian. If there is one guy that you can trust, at least, but politician, you can't trust him. But if there is one guy that you can trust, at least Brian, you can put your bet and have some chance to say, Fiala Bomba. Not Awaba Shala. Given Lubinda win. Given Lubinda is a liar. Given Lubinda, wabu forgiven, wabu fit bad kind. Wabu forgiven. He sued me in court and the court can, no, I don't know. He has never even been in my house. And yet I used to eat in his house. I used to sit on his table eating with him. But he comes up in court and he says, no, he has never been in my house. Given wabu fee. He's a traitor given. He is a traitor. That's why Basatawa mutamfishen chito. Basatawa mutamfishen chito given because of Wutreta. Given was fired by Basata because of Wutreta. He's a traitor. And even here, given Lubinda is playing around, they have gone on one side. They are on this side. They are fighting Brian Mundubile. But I can tell you about PF, if there is any chance that you have to survive, if there is any chance that you have to survive, it's Brian Mundubile. If there is any chance that you have to survive on the political landscape, it's Brian. Only Brian can at least take you somewhere. But you PNG, tabale muikata Brian, because Brian Mundubile, chishi wala muikati la. They are saying, no, it's a project. Icho wala muikata Brian, chishi. Tell me what Brian has committed, because muralema pa social media. Maris muapena, slander muapena. You are always slandering, you are always, coming up with things. Bring up what do you have against Brian? What has Brian done? That by UPND, nangu balefo ayama cases, nangu they want to fix people. What do they have on Brian? What? Even Mwewene you don't have. So it is not that Brian is a UPND project. It is just that the guy doesn't have anything that you can hold on. There is nothing. I've walked through to my cases. No, it was not Brian. It was not Brian. I had interaction with so many people. You can ask Chitotela who is in prison. He will tell you about Musa Mulanda Po, Musa. Chitotela knows. Chitotela was for infrastructure. He knows better about that road. He can tell you. No, Brian, Shani, Kwadu Afide. Where was Brian? Where was Brian in all that? So, there is nothing that UPND can have. And from a democratic point of view, I think for me, I would say, let Brian succeed so that we can have an opposition. The only opposition that we can have after 2026, because I will be part of government, the only opposition that we can have after 2026 in the government that I will be, now we can declare some that. How we can declare some that? Papa Karunga Tapavenson. No come conserva mdalanga mulepe panga muchechi mufure mwaishiva ndefo enchitom 2026. After my elections, I should be part of it. I mean, ngawambia abama ministers mwakwata abadefira nokulanda adefira nokulanda umuntu minister ngaisura akanwa ma problems yekaeka ngaisura akanwa ma problems yekaeka so surely, I mean, if those people that you have appointed are ministers, you know, you have to minister. How na mo ba ka inde chine we can chef. Ino na diba straightforward ndalandira. Awe ino ndalandira pom. Na diba very straightforward. Ndefo enchito. Echo ndefo aya. Aka inde chine. Re support ndefo enchito. Ndefo enchito after my elections. Ndefo enchito. And I know Aka Indechilema will give me a job. Not Remusaba. Hey, why don't you come back? Why don't you come back? She will go with a number. Therefore, we sang an aquatic. So I some Zambia or some station. No, come back. Hey, why don't you come back? In case I can pesa. In case I yenshi. Ganasa to Zambia. If I come back to Zambia today, Nkwela and the Kenshi to Zambia. Uke Sandisha. No. Hey, why don't you come back? Why don't you come back? Ngana wela ku Zambia lero. Ukesandisha nkesa kala munganda mumove. Nkesa no rupo rwandi na bakashibandi. Ukatupeleko bedroom uko tukale ikara. Ukaletulisha. Kutuwatulisha iwe. Kutuwatulisha. Wadishwa budget yana nkane ya bari wofo yaba. Kuitopia kwa ama spices. Inkoko ama spices 20. Ama spices yakula umutengo ama spices yakira n'enkoko umutengo kutuma isandisha yi na bikwata bakashaba suma mfire ngana isaisa kuzambia ninkwata nchito ninkwata n'enganda na motoka ninkwata ala iwe mungalenda panish ukeze na aliba strategic ine ndatontonkanya echo nshira ku Zambia inganda yandi bali toba. You saw all of you. Bali toba, and then there is nothing. I sold everything. Songana wela nkesa ikala pesa. Hey, come back. Why don't you come back? Why don't you come back? Bloody fool. Nkesa ikala munga ndewo kesandisha. Ndefo okwisa aka inde ichile mangampere nchito. Ero apate jampere nchito. Alambika pesa aka inde ichile. Where is aka inde ichile going to put me? Where is aka inde ichile going to put me? But after my elections, afira kandanguluke aka inde ichile. Brani munduvirete chawina my elections. Brani munduvirete chawina my elections. Paka kano bungata pavenson. Brani munduvirete chawina my elections. Munandi. Ero is powerful, yes. But he can't win an election. Ero brani munduvirete futite tandishe. Ala? Fishing kefende nye wakumia fishing kabat ndara pa. Efo fili. So, he on some vaccinations. Ukulan Devenom as a public lawyer. These machinations, all these things that are currently going on, is to push Makebi Zulu. This is all about pushing Makebi Zulu. He knows. And they want to push, and Lubinda knows. Makebi Zulu, kuli urupia. Ero na nenga nalikweta mano ya muka wala ala. Nga nalikweta mano ya mukuruku. Na ina wenenga ndege ndala mashakwa Makebi Zulu ndeni yewe. If ngana likweta mano ya bukabwalala ngande yendala mashakwa Makebi Zulu nomba ine nshifwaya ukuli yendala mashamu kabwalala. I want at least if you're on dolweke not indala mashachitumbi tefo naba. So if you want money kuli Makebi kuli rupia Makebi Zulu na baesta lunga ewe shive indala mashirasho nsishovale ronga mulika presidential jet eko shava ewe shive ba munduwire bare ona ule diru chiraiti ba munduwire ale ona ule diru bakabwana na bali ku bare plana then barosha munduwire uyichikambo yale tona wile diru munduwire ale ona wile diru. If you look around, even the people that are around munduwire takuli bakabwana Even about Davis Mwira. But Davis Mwira. Look at what Davis Mwira. But Davis Mwira, I'm telling you, Nenkoko. Aba now, vale vekata nama million ma chan. Whenever I'm there with Davis Mwira, the only thing that he showed us that he has Ninkoko. Inkoko shamani. Ama ni train mo 30 kwacha. 30 kwacha pakwa tukwate ukwate 3000 dishinga mani. Ufile wa shoko. 100 jamani. Takuli wakawala ala kuli brand mndubi. Wakawala ala bali uku. Bali kuli they are protecting their interest. Abantu ni wakawala ala and brand mndubi dare wona wida. But from my perspective, the only person that is better, even after you don't cover government, who in good opposition, ni brand mndubi. He's a better guy. In terms of PF, PF tapanyo point. Na ikwatama issues PF. Na PF chineta Valeruila, PF chali tobeka. Valeruila PF PF chali tobeka. Ati no, brand mundivide. Alefo kutwala ku UPN, alefo kutwala kuna nikali ku kushani, ku FDD. Yes, you need a purpose vehicle. You need a purpose vehicle. So if Brian is thinking of bringing FDD in, that is a good thing. I would say Brian will go for it. Go for it, Brian. And I can tell you, Brian, ababantunga chakwa twale sefi abupuba. Ubaleke no kubaleka. Iweko nkanyapo, go get a purpose vehicle. Ngani UPN, ngani FDD, ngani katushi. Isha ishibanga bani kwa libarumati ba KBF. But anyway, whichever ngani socialist, get a purpose vehicle. Get a purpose vehicle. Ababa kabwala alaba, don't even waste the time because your PF valela ndapo PF takuli. Ero ngani makebizulu takwete future. Takwete future ndemeba, takwete future. Haka inde ichilema tumpa. Uwako bati esale kere makebizulu. Makebizulu after all that upuba achi tamudia. And Makebizulu to come and be on the ballot, contesting with Akainde Ichilema. You think Akainde Ichilema is that foolish? You really think Akainde Ichilema? Because when Makebizulu there is walking, Muzambia, what you are studying. What you are studying, but you are Makebizulu, but I am Jim Bajoga, Chan. Anyway, Akainde Ichilema is not stupid. We are allowing you to do your nonsense at the moment. Because your time is coming. There is something that has been prepared for you, Makebi. There is something that has been prepared and not prepared maliciously. Not prepared maliciously. But there is an issue surrounding the death of Edgar Lungu. There are issues. And those issues, they will be dealt with very soon. They will be dealt with very soon. Makebizulu, nifila balanda tumu anaika lishanganya. Makebizulu akeka la mumafi. Makebizulu, aleika la mumafi. No mbali na akeka la mumafi Makebizulu. No akumu pipa taka mumone. No akumu pipa taka mumone ndemieba. Hivi tunapangale lo. Pachiberushi. Ndiye mieba mkanjiukisha ukwebati Makebizulu akekala mu mafi yakwe no akumubipata kwa kabe takwakabe so bakawala la mose mwe bale ituntumba and you political amateurs, you political infancy like akaka nani kanachikashanya atikanani akakamwa ichaka atikanani aka akakamwa ichika mabere akaka mabere atikanani mwe akaka kama anacheka kwa tamavere kwa tima ni twin tower ya ku Malaysia atikanani lembeni kwa munani kane kama anacheka fima vere fikurufi kanani ama mtu aka ati chair of whatever mukekala panshi mwaichi mukekala panshi no mbali neve mukekala panshi ine I'm a political strategist mtu andikale na tamba politics ndafumona kwa na lole shapa ba mundu birate tibakwanishe abanani awe trafe na Akainde Ichilema forward Ni forward chave. Ni njishwecho ndera forward muntu wangi. Ni njishwecho ndera forward. Teti miwe. Ni njishwecho ndera forward. Tapari. Mwila ibepa. Even some of you think, no, hey, wait, no, things are very bad. Things are very bad. Things have been bad even in the time of UNIP. Things have been bad even in the time of UNIP. That's why Chiruba became president, because things were bad. That is why Sata became president, because things were bad. Things have always been bad. But this time around, Hakainde Ichilema is not going. It's not going. Na ngumukwate hallucination ya shani mure ibe pafi. Imwe uwalaisa apa uwala mufunyapo Hakainde Ichilema ni nani? Uwala mufunyapo ni nani? Uwala mufunyapo ni nani? You think imwepo ngamwaikala mwebele batatu babili batatu. Ni mumona muri bengi. Zambia yikulu mwira ibe panga mwaikala. Mureno wakachasu mwambo kuibepa. Mure bya beggars nenda na mashakwiba ishakwa Lungu. And you think that mutuma wina my election tete muwine. Kwa pa ballot nshamewera kamudolo takakabe pa ballot. Didn't I tell you that kamudolo takakabe pa permanent can pa ballot? Where is kamudolo? Where is kamudolo? Mwaris changwa. Mudolo. Where is mudolo today? Where is mudolo? No, you will never keep Bizulu. Nobody nefi alaikala mafia kwe. Nobody nefi makebi Zulu. So ababonsa wa makebi banani kane ba given Lubinda. Ba given Lubinda tabatontonga okufika patali. Ba given Lubinda bali kwata mano, but tabatontonga okufika patali. Amano yabo tayaya sana. Barafiro kuya patali. Barafiro kuya patali. Ba given Lubinda amana nikane mulesha tapali okomulea. Tapali okomulea wa mdala. If you want advice, call me, I'll give you a good advice. Not a mama's nations mulecha. Wa given Lubinda. Mukaisanga muri mwamone ni nobody nefe ba given. Mukaisanga muri mwamone ni wa mdala. Mukaisanga muri mwamone ni wa mdala. Mukaisanga muri mwamone ni na weke shapo mukaisanga muri mwamone ni. I don't want to review things. Around you. But I can tell you amdala iyo mulecha ya mama nation lekele niko kuchitumbi ba given. Lekele niko kuchitumbi musheni makebi Zulu. Mwarasha la pambiribiri wa mdala. Yerama piba mitobere. Yachepa because you've been problems. Wamdala wa given ndemieva wamdala inwe turapusana ndo watemwa but nalimitemwa wamdala. So for ndemieva lekenya ama nations firekeni wamdala chinjeni gear PF tapali. Iyo PF mwiketi tapali PF tapali chinjeni gear wamdala chinjeni gear wangu Muikonkerero oyu nanikane makebi Zulu kabwalala. Muimukonkerera wa given Lubinda na miema muimukonkerera wa mdala. Lekeni ya nechitumbi chakwe tapaloko chileba twala. Takuli. Very soon the chickens will come to roost. That's all I can tell you. I don't want to talk too much. I don't want to review, but very soon the chickens will come to roost. Anyway, I think naranja sana. Tafikweni, tamufuide. Sorry, if you're bad. I am nations. Lubinda. Ndebo mfiro luse. If they want to get rid of Brian Mundubile. But I can tell you, the survival of the opposition at the moment, if there is somebody that is coming out, ule moneka kofiat uyu, ni Brian Mundubile. Ni Brian Mundubile. Okay, but nishita ule musapota. Nishile musapota because tete wina my elections in 2026. Ilende fo kuwera. Nishile fo anka were. Mfilo kuwera kunjito. Inchito yandile ni politician. Ndefo baka inde ichima. Na ine baka nsove kwa kachito. I'm even better off than some of these guys. I can do much better. So every dash, I think na sawa ila sana. Bye.
I wish to recognize the Mpakanta Musonda. I wish to recognize our former Secretary General, Honorable Davis Mwila, members of Central Committee present. I recognize Honorable Melesiana Piri, member of Central Committee, Madam Catherine Chileshe, member of Central Committee, Mr. Chipili Chomba, Provincial Chairman, Northern Province, and member of Central Committee. I recognize our mother. What is the name again, ma'am? Monica Mwansa, member of Central Committee, representing Central Province. I wish to recognize Provincial Chairman for Luapula, Comrade Musunga, member of Central Committee, Honorable Member of Central Committee, Monta, His Worship, the Mayor of Kabwe, member of Central Committee, Provincial Youth Chairman from different provinces who are here. I wish to recognize distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the members of the press. We wish to welcome you to this press briefing this morning, or is it afternoon, where our national chairman will give a press conference, a press briefing, to give guidance to our party and the nation at large. I am Honorable Christopher Shakafuswa, Provincial Chairperson for Lusaka Province and member of Central Committee. At this juncture, it is my privilege and honor to call upon Honorable Musonda Mpankata, Lupososhi, Member of Parliament, who is also our National Chairperson for Patriotic Front, the National Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I think allow me to get seated as I deliver this press statement, which is a reaction to what the acting party president, Honorable Given Lubinda, issued last night. You see, yesterday we waited for him to have a consultation with the 6 senior members of the Central Committee as NEC. All we got was a notice of suspending or cancelling of NEC sittings indefinitely. Can you imagine? Where do you see a party leader suspending sittings of the executive members of the party indefinitely and issued by a junior member of the party? So members of the Central Committee, members of the press, we have called this press conference to respond to the decision that the acting president of Patriotic Front, who is the vice president of the party, Given Lubinda, to drop we, the undersigned, from the Central Committee. From the outset, and in no uncertain terms, we declare that the action is illegal, as the party constitution does not allocate such powers to an acting president without the ratification of the Central Committee. Additionally, we strongly feel the action is a clear sign that Honorable Lubinda has abandoned the soul of the party at a time when Zambians desperately looking for a strong, united opposition and has chosen ego over unity, ambition over selfless service, and personal survival over collective destiny. And I'll repeat myself. Honorable Given Lubinda has desperately chosen ego over unity, ambition over selfless service, and personal survival over collective destiny. A leader who reshuffles structures days before a convention is bent on crippling the party, To be clear, Honorable Lubinda is vying for the party presidency at the coming convention, which is 7 days away from today. And the right thing for him to do was to step aside to create a level and fair playground. We cannot have a candidate making or changing rules for other contestants. He is a candidate. If he was wise enough, Honorable Lubinda should have stepped aside and take over the reins of the party so that the level playing field is even for all the contesting parties. We expect him to hand over the reins over to the party chairperson, Honorable Mpangata Msonda, who is me, together with the acting Secretary General of the party, so that we organize the convention successfully. His action manipulates the playing field even before the whistle is blown. He's trying to be a judge and a jury at the same time. The Patriotic Front needs unity, stability, honesty, transparency, and courage. But instead, Honorable Lubinda detonates drama, division, and sabotage disguised in administration. A leader who cannot unite chooses division. A leader who fears transparency chooses chaos. And that is precisely what will not allow him to do to the Patriotic Front. We therefore reject all the changes Honorable Lubinda purports to have made and demand that he steps aside to allow the chairperson to superintend the process to the convention that will choose the next president of the biggest opposition political party, the Patriotic Front, which is just 7 days away from today. The time has come for us to close the ranks, unite and rise above the egos of selfish interests. Zambia is too precious and the future too urgent to be sacrificed at the altar of one man's quest for political survival and political selfishness. So with a few remarks, members of the press and members of the Central Committee present, this is our reaction to the statement that Honorable Lubinda purports to have issued last evening, and I thank you.
Thank you so much. I wish to recognize the members of Central Committee that have joined this press briefing. Members of the press, I now wish to invite questions, if any, to the national chairperson, Honorable Musonda Mpangata. You may raise your hand and introduce yourself and go ahead and ask your question, if any. Do we have any questions from the press?
Any questions pertaining to the preparations of our general conference? And maybe for your information, just for further information for the public, the press, and the members of Patriotic Front, is that our plans and our preparations for the conventions are going ahead. And very soon we'll be issuing a list of delegates which will be distributed to all the contestants, including Honorable Given Lubinda and his agents. And the convention is going ahead as planned, and preparations will continue. And as members of the Central Committee, I'll be chairing a Central Committee this afternoon at a venue that we are going to advise our members of Central Committee. You see, in terms of our party constitution, this, the Patriotic Front Party Constitution here, which is purported newly appointed Deputy Secretary General Mkandila, a lawyer, is claiming that regulations supersede the Constitution. Honorable Mkandila, a lawyer, you read Article 51 of the Party Constitution. The Central Committee, there shall be a Central Committee of the party which shall consist of 30 members as follows: Party President, Secretary General of the party, appointed by the President of the party, from among its members of the Central Committee who are elected at the General Conference. 25 members elected at the General Conference. 3 members appointed by the President of the party. So the blotted number of the members of the Central Committee that you claim to have and that you want them to endorse you as a party president is not in tandem with our party constitution. And very soon we'll be appointing Electoral Commission as now a person in charge of the party, together with the chairman's elections, as mandated by the party regulations. And this is in accordance with regulation, the Party Election Commission, Regulation 4. For the purpose of the General Conference, there shall be established pursuant to the provision of Article 64 and 5 of the Constitution of the Party Electoral Commission, which shall comprise the chairperson, secretary, and 3 others, which is about 5. The Elections Committee, in consultation with the party president, shall propose for the approval to the Central Committee members of the Party Electoral Commission, which will be doing very soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. If there are no further questions, then we shall end. There's a question there. Yes, sir, please go ahead.
The chairman or front member of the Central Committee, all protocols observed. My question is, according to what he purports to based on Article 61J, according to my understanding, Article 61J says only the elected party president can hire and fire. Is given Lubinda in order as acting president, who was not elected but appointed, is he in order to hire and fire his fellow members of Central Committee?
You see, Article 61 of the Constitution, which I have here, talks about the powers and functions of the president of the party. But these powers and functions of the president, they are A to K. And he says, he quoted J, take a decision or an action which in his opinion is in the best interest of the development or security of the party. So his decision that he took 7 days away to the conference is not in the best interest of the party. And whatever powers and functions of the president has, the Central Committee has to ratify these powers. It is just like the Republican president appointing service chiefs and other senior government portfolios. Parliament finally ratifies. Judges are finally ratified by the members of Parliament. That is the watchdog work of members of Parliament. Even the Central Committee, to check on the powers and privileges of the president, the Central Committee has to ratify, so that these powers and privileges are not abused like he's trying to abuse these powers unilaterally as himself being an acting party president.
Thank you so much. Any other question from the media? Thank you so much. As we come to the end, thank you so much, National Chairperson, for that statement that intends to build and clarify matters of national importance. My message to the party in Lusaka province, which is the headquarters of the party, is that can we remain strong and resolute? This is just a small step that will not shake us. We have a convention which is forthcoming in a week's time, and like the national chairman has said, let us remain strong and united. We preach a message of unity and not division. Ours is for the poor people of Zambia, and as such, we choose maturity instead of egos. We choose to be pro-poor